Well, hi friends. It is Janine with Jet Travel. Welcome to our next Travel Tuesday. It is officially St. Patrick's Day Eve. A lot of stuff happened for us last year during this time with COVID and everything else. Our world was kind of shifting. So we are going to take a nice positive spin, and we have our friend from Celtic Tours, Diane. Hi, Diane.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Diane has been with us for, I don't know, a couple of years. You've come up and done our travel shows before. So when we can start doing that again, we're going to hopefully have her smiling face. But Diane is back up in Ashland. But Diane is here to talk to us all about Ireland because tomorrow is St. Patty's Day. So Diane, let's start talking out. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself, Celtic Tours? And even if you want, I would love to hear why you love Ireland so much.
Oh gosh. Well, there's so many reasons. And I was thinking, what was the year you had your first show? Because that's when I came up. So it's got to
Oh my
be
gosh. 3 or 4 years ago.
at least. And I miss
At
coming
least.
up because you have the
Yeah.
greatest, warmest people up there. And you always do,
Oh.
your real office does a great job at those the consumer shows. So
Oh.
it's great. No, I'm Diane Rowe, and I've been with Celtic Tours for going on 9 years. And
Okay.
prior to that, I come from your side, as you know, Janine. I was a full-time travel agent for 32 years. And I always specialized in European travel. And then within that, travel to Ireland. And I personally escorted probably 13, 14 years of a tour to Ireland every single year as a travel agent, like you did that one year with my company. And I always booked it with Celtic. I know there's a lot of companies out there, but I felt that, when I was given the same driver guide every single year, it was great. And it would be like you, whoever you had on your tour, if you decide to do a group again, we can try to see if where he's hanging out in the
it
in
was
Ireland.
Martin, but I feel like he was retiring, unfortunately, and he was so great. But every guide we've had, when we were even at the different places we stopped with you guys, it was like they were so welcoming and warm. And like when we stopped at the farm, I mean, they were just so welcoming, and it was just like you didn't want to leave because you felt you were a part of their family already.
Right. Right. And I do think our driver guides, if people are out there, and we'll talk about the ways we can get you there. I think our driver guides are really excellent. And really in Ireland, not only do they know their facts and figures, but they're funny. They're going to sing Danny Boy on the bus to you. You're coming through Limerick en route to Killarney. They're asking you to compose a limerick. They make it fun. They make the destination come alive. And that's why people go. They want to learn, but they also want to have fun, at the same time. So I would say I normally start off by wishing all of your people listening to us a Céad Míle Fáilte. And what that means is 100,000 welcomes. Okay. And I always feel that as many times as I've been to Ireland over the years, I feel the minute I land in Dublin, my feet touch the Irish soil, I've received 100,000 welcomes. And I'm sure you feel the same way too, Janine. The reason you go to Ireland is not for bling and glitz and fancy things. There's other countries in Europe that maybe, when you're in Paris or, London and things like that, you really go for the scenic drive, number one. Two, sitting at a pub, talking to the locals, and they're happy to meet you. They hear your accent. We are the visitors. And they want to know about you. You're from the States, and, all of that kind of stuff. And on occasion, we have to stop.
Oh no, Diane, I lost you. You froze for a quick second.
The coach, or in a car if you're renting a car.
To I was like, shoot, Diane froze.
Things that call people back to Ireland.
Yeah,
no, but that's why people go back to Ireland, for that beauty, not, there's, like I said, no big thrills. It's the simple things. And the people really are the main reason too. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I totally agree with that wholeheartedly. The people definitely made the experience, and it was the scenery, the natural beauty. And I like how you said it. It was just like you were there and you were totally present in the moment. Like you weren't worried about where you were running to next. When you were in that local pub and you had your pint of cider or of whatever beer you were drinking. I like the ciders over there. They have lots of different kinds. You were in the moment. You were talking to the person sitting next to you who you didn't meet. I remember when we were there, we were in this small local pub. There was people playing music, which was awesome live music. It was jam-packed. And all of a sudden I heard someone and I'm like, gosh, your accent's worse than mine. And I'm like, oh, how long are you in Ireland? He goes, oh, we're here for a month. I'm from South Africa. I'm running a marathon. And I'm like, you're what?
Wow.
It's just like those cool international connections you make I don't know, it's just there's something about Ireland where everyone just becomes like you want to become everyone's friend.
You do. And I always tell people, no matter how your folks are going to get to Ireland, and I believe this wholeheartedly anywhere I've gone, actually, it's not what's on your piece of paper, what's not written on the itinerary that happens over there. That's what you bring back as your fond memory from that destination. And it is those surprises that you come along, maybe a great person you had a wonderful conversation with, or just seeing, for me, the first time I saw the border collies herding sheep, I was just blown away because I'm from a big city. So I would never see something like that. And just those little things again. And I feeling like you're catapulted back a couple hundred years. And the beauty about Ireland is that the Romans never made it as far. The Romans made it to the UK. So a lot of the roads and such, we call them cows paths, those winding roads, remain today because the Romans did not make it over and then change it to more of a highway system. So you do feel like it could be 100 years ago and you're still traveling those little villages and the little cottages you're going to see, and people that it's like time kind of stood still in a lot of those areas, the rural areas. And as much as I love the big cities, to me, the flavor of Ireland is when you leave the big city. You want to do the big city a little bit, but it's those little villages and exactly what, we're talking about that we've experienced. So I thought I would share my screen here. I'm going to see how I can do that here. And let me know if you can see it.
We're almost there, I think. There you are. Perfect. You're all set up. Good deal.
Okay. And I don't know if you went to the Rock of Cashel, if you went through that on your tour when you were there.
I don't think we did. And that's the thing. That's one thing that I know that we're going to probably talk about a little bit, but we'll just jump into it right now. Is like a lot of people will say, I want to go to a country, and it'll be like one and done. They'll like check it off the list. But to me, even though Ireland is it's a fairly compact country, which it's easy to see a lot of stuff. I still think there's a lot of stuff I haven't personally seen that I'm like, I have to go back.
Most people do want to go back. I would say, as we scroll down here, I have a nice little map of Ireland to show you, which, we can talk about. Now, a lot of people will look at that and they'll be like, wow, it's a really big country. But Ireland is comparable to the size of the state of Indiana. So when you think about if you were traveling in Indiana in 10 days or whatever, you would feel like you saw a lot. But what a lot of people will do, obviously, I'll show you a tour that does the entire island, but a lot of people will just want to explore the southern area their first time because there's so much to do. And my philosophy too is less is more, meaning if you're always en route, you're never anywhere. And that's why a lot of our tours that we put out are 2 nights in every given city that you're in. That gives you time to acclimate. You're not packing and unpacking every single day. And that's really important. And then a lot of times people will go back and just do the north. So within the country here, it's made up all these different colors of 32 counties. And if I take a little slice here and you're looking at those 6 counties and it says United Kingdom, that's what you and I would refer to as Northern Ireland. Still controlled, with the government from Great Britain. When you're up there, you're using the British sterling pound, so forth. All of these counties here are part of what we consider the Southern Irish Republic. Their own government as of 100 years ago. They actually signed their independence in 1921. So it's a huge year of commemorative festivities going on to, acknowledge that 100 years ago, as old as Ireland is, it's only been its own country, the Republic, for 100 years. That also kind of blows my mind. Now, the confusing thing would be, you might be, one of my favorite areas is way up north here in the County Donegal. And you might say, oh, that's part of Northern Ireland. It's north geographically, but it's part of the Southern Irish. Okay, so that's kind of one thing to note. Any direction you can be to water in no less than 2.5, 3 hours. So again, it's a very small country, easy to get around. You're never going to be on if you do a tour with us, on a bus for 12 hours a day, because you'd be in the Atlantic Ocean or in the Irish Sea over here. Very temperate climate. I don't know if when you were down in Killarney and maybe you went out to the Dingle Peninsula here, you saw a palm tree, but Ireland does have some palm trees in the south. So, it is kind of interesting. So ways we can bring you and your folks to Ireland. Number one, first way would be an escorted tour. And people might have a little apprehension. They want to go on their own, or
Mhm.
you might say to them, what would be the advantages of doing a tour versus on your own initially?
Right.
The biggest thing, as you know, Janine, is on any tour, you sit back, relax, take it all in. We do the work. You're there looking out your big, beautiful scenic window,
Mhm.
maybe listening to Enya or the Chieftains on the radio that we play, and just kind of taking it in and not having to worry about anything except enjoying yourself.
Right.
Another important thing people don't realize is like in Wales and parts of Scotland, Ireland has a lot of hedges and stone walls.
Yes.
When you're driving in a car, you're not going to necessarily be able to see over. So the coach has high seating, so
Right.
you can see over those.
I didn't think of
When,
that. That's a great point, Diane,
yeah, it
because
is.
it's
Because
a lot of places you can't see. You can't, unless you're higher up, you can't see whatever is past there.
right. So you've got a great view versus the car. I mean, I have driven as well, but I'm just pointing out that I think these are the pluses definitely for doing an escorted tour, at least your first time going.
Right.
You know, people return later and then maybe they do something different or are courageous enough to rent a car for left side driving and all of that. Another important thing with any escorted tour usually is that there's no waiting lines to get into attractions. You're whisked by the public to get in. So if you ever go to the Guinness Storehouse in Dublin, there's a long line of the public just waiting to buy their tickets. We whisk you by, you go into a separate entrance and you're in, and it's all good. Our drivers become your designated driver. Actually, another travel agent had pointed this out, that she wanted to have lots of pints when she was over there and didn't have to worry about driving. And so I added that to my list. I'm like, that's a really good point.
That is a good point.
You got your designated driver. And a lot of times, like if you're in the town of Clarny, we're usually city center that you can just stumble your own way home and not even need the driver. But when we stop in the day to have a pint, which a lot of times we are for lunch and this and that, no worries about driving. And again, like I mentioned, your best surprises and memories are not listed on your itinerary. Now, some of the things we do at Celtic is our pace is great. And again, I said this earlier, many of our stays are 2 nights in any given city. So you're never just en route, you're actually somewhere.
Right.
We make generous, stops along the way. This is a fairly asked question. Is there a bathroom available on the coach? Yes. But it's rarely used because we make enough stops. And we also have very decent legroom. I wouldn't have realized this. I'm only 5'1.5", but Greg, my counterpart from Texas, is 6'4". And on a fam that we were recently on together, he actually commented on the legroom for himself. He was very comfortable compared to maybe other coaches he's been on. And I thought that's really something to, take into account.
Absolutely.
Another thing, every day we start off a beautiful celebration called a full Irish breakfast. And I've kind of put an example of what
I was hoping you were, because the Irish breakfasts are ginormous. Like if you're hungry after an Irish breakfast, it's your own darn fault.
That's true. That's true.
It is.
And so depending where you're staying, sometimes it's a buffet, sometimes it's off the order, menu.
Yeah.
But I like to point out, besides this, the steel oats, the fruits and juices and coffee cereal, and then my personal station, the fabulous breads. And every day you have the soda bread, the brown bread, my favorite, of course, the scones. And of course, putting on your scone, the Kerrygold butter, the fruit preserves, the clotted cream, and you try to fit that in your mouth, right? But again, like you said, you are so filled from a nice breakfast every day that we really don't include lunches in our menu or in the itinerary. That doesn't mean you don't have opportunities for lunch. Every day, of course, you do. But 9 out of 10 times, you're going to want a cup of soup and a piece of brown bread for lunch. And that's it. Unless you're maybe one day out on Dingle and you're going to have the fish and chips. Right. So that brings me to the point that we don't want to nickel and dime people and charge you for 3 square meals a day when you will not want to do that. With dinners, though, I would say most we do include, but we always leave a night or two, depending on the length of the tour, for you to go out and explore on your own. I know by night 5, I want to have a pizza, or maybe I want to go for Chinese or whatever, or you just don't want to be hooked at the hip with your best friends that you're traveling around the country. These are important, and it kind of ties in with the pace as well. Right. So here's one of those optional lunches. I took this photo when I was out on Dingle at a great
chips, so nummy.
Across the street from literally the harbor, where the boats, the fishermen are bringing in the catch of the day, and you're eating the catch of the day across at that pub. And it's Great. There's nothing like that. Did you have fish and chips when you were over there?
Yeah, when we were in Dingle, we totally made it a point to stop and have fish and chips, and it was so delicious. And I can't believe you found ketchup, because like when you ask for ketchup, you kind of get looked at funny, because they do the vinegar.
Yep.
Which I actually we all did, because Jeff, my husband, was with at the time, and his parents were with too. And we're like, okay, we're gonna do this how the Irish people do it. We are not gonna have ketchup, and it was actually really good. So now every now and then when we're out for fish fry for Friday nights, if it's a really good fish, like I'll be like, hey, can I have some malted vinegar, please?
Yeah, the malt vinegar, absolutely.
And they're like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, nah, it's an Irish thing, it's fine.
Because they dip their fries in there too. This is probably because we were American tourists coming in, and they probably said, "Get the ketchup out of the bag."
That's exactly true. So but no, that fish and chips is lovely, and I love that their chips, which are French fries, are actually like the nice steak cut. They're the bigger ones.
Absolutely. So yeah, good. And important point, since we're talking about food, because food is a huge part of any vacation, no matter where you want to partake in the local fare. But we can accommodate any kind of dietary needs. So let's say you have people traveling that are gluten-free, which is the biggest request today.
Right.
We can handle that. We can handle vegetarian, kosher, diabetic. There's not a meal we can't. You're not going to a really foreign place that doesn't have access to any of these things.
Right.
People over there are very similar to us here. So, and I also like to point out that you won't really see corned beef and cabbage over there unless it's today, tomorrow, the month of March, because corned beef and cabbage is really an American Irish tradition that was started by the immigrants here because it was a cheaper cut of meat. So anyways, moving down, I like to point out that on most of our tours, we also use first class hotels, and 2 nights are spent at a castle hotel within the itinerary. I would say maybe one tour that doesn't include a castle stay, but all of them include 2 nights. Yeah. So I like to point out the one we use the most. And this is a beautiful estate castle called Kilronan. And it's up in County Roscommon, which is north of Galway. And we use this on our Dream, our Rose, and our Delight tours. And you get to stay here 2 nights, and it's truly an estate castle. It's not in the middle of the town. So behind the castle is a beautiful lake. You can take hikes around there. And I just put a couple pictures in to kind of give you a little tease on what that castle looks like.
Oh, Diane, you make me want to go back already.
I know, and the rooms are gorgeous there, the common areas, but what I was floored by was this absolutely beautiful state-of-the-art spa. And not that you are going to spend a lot of your time at a leisure center like this in Ireland, but maybe this is halfway through your tour and you want that second day to just come back and have a massage or use a spa. Absolutely. The other castle hotel we use, because our Heart of Ireland tour doesn't go as far north as Galway. So on the Heart, which I will show you, we have a castle hotel in the outskirts of Dublin, and this is called the Fitzpatrick Castle Hotel.
And we stayed at this one, and it was very nice. The estate was gorgeous. There were tons of parks around. You had to walk to get to the public transportation, but it wasn't a far walk whatsoever.
But being that you are on a tour that next day, we're still bringing you into Dublin to see all the highlights of Dublin. And a few pictures you'll probably recognize then. From there, the public bar. Here's the dungeon in the basement, which is a great bar pub.
It was so cool.
That's very cool. It's probably not as deluxe as the Kilronan because it's a city center, but equally as impressive. And both of these castles are affordable enough that we can incorporate them into a tour versus the high end, which we can always book your clients to for their own independent tours.
Right.
All the 5-star hotels as well, and castle hotels. Of course, I like to put one picture of myself in here. This was last November, or a year ago November, my last time in Ireland before COVID. And I took a group to this property called Ballyseedy Castle Hotel. It's down at the window to the Dingle Peninsula down in Tralee. And when you enter, the resident wolfhounds greet you. And I was so happy because I used to have a wolfhound myself. But this is one of the castles out of many that we can book your clients on a self-drive if they want to spend 2 nights at a castle or just 1 night. Ballyseedy is perfect. It's too small for a big group of 30 people coming in, but perfect for, just a couple or maybe 8, 10 people traveling together. And we can offer a variety of those. So keep that in
Okay.
mind for yourself, independent travelers. We have one driver guide, which if you've had people on other tours in Europe, they might be used to the driver that drives them from point A to B, and then the guide, which is the narrative person. Ireland, they do one and the same, as you know, with Martin, but a lot of people might not realize that. But what that means to them is at the end, they're only tipping one gratuity for one person. They're not opening their pocketbook for several people throughout their tour.
Right.
And again, I feel like most of our attractions, especially in Ireland, we're really not nickel and diming people. Most things are included. So now a big question that people have been asking, what are we doing for social distancing? You know,
Yep. COVID's a big thing everyone's talking about now because we want to know what's going to look like moving forward.
Absolutely. When we finally open up and we can welcome people back to Ireland, the biggest thing that we've done is we've taken all of our tours for this year that normally during busy time, we could fit as many as, you know, high 30s or even low 40s onto a coach. A coach can actually hold 48 seats. What we've done is we made every group departure 25 max. So that means there'll be no more than 25 on any tour that I'm going to show you that your clients might be interested in, but we're still utilizing our 48 seater. So there'll be plenty of room to spread out. Now, until we actually start the tours up, I'm not sure if we're going to be pulling rows out or they're just going to be tagged off, but we are definitely allowing for social distance. This to me is the gem because Ireland became very proactive last March, April, when I think they realized it was going to take a little bit longer to recover. The Irish government started a program called the Safety Charter Net. And what it is an educational program. And they offered it to every restaurant owner, pub owner, B&B, hotel, museums, anywhere that we are attracting clients to come in and tourists, that they have to take a test on social distancing, cleaning, all of those things that are pertinent and important. Once they complete that, all the employees of the hotel, for example, they get this label and they are able to display this label on the entrance to their property, facility, museum, restaurant. So your clients, as well as myself and you, would have a peace of mind that we're entering Mrs. O'Leary's little bed and breakfast, that Mrs. O'Leary has taken the test and she's you know, up on the latest humanly possible things that we can do. So that's important. So just, I won't spend a lot of time here, but I wanted to at least cover, we don't have 50 tours to offer. We have about 6 or 7, but something for everyone. Our dream, which is our second most popular really, because people have to have the time to do it. It's 11 nights. It covers the entire country. And they're all 2-night stays except one nighter, I believe, down in Waterford. But included in that is the 2 nights at Kilronan, starting at $29.49. We also have our heart. This is probably our most popular for people that just have a week off of work or want to just do the South and maybe still extend a night or 2 on at the end or prior in Dublin. We do that all the time, starting at $13.99. You can't beat that. And it's 6 sleeping nights, 2 in Galway, 2 in Killarney, 2 back in Dublin. So no one-nighters, which is beautiful. And then just a few more here. We have our Irish Rose. So people that at least say, well, I like to at least see part of the North and then the Atlantic coast. And then our Delight. And we also offer, obviously, our St. Pat's of 21. Unfortunately, we had to cancel. We are starting to book already St. Pat's Week, which is a great opportunity for people that maybe want to say, I want to be in Ireland, go to the parade in Dublin. We are filling that up as we speak. We have a Rambler, which kind of jumps around a little bit. It's more budget conscious. And then we have one that combines Scotland and Ireland. And that's really it as far as our escorted tours. Other ways that you can get your clients there. For folks that might be interested, we offer a chauffeur drive package. And you might say, well, what is that? And it's your own private guide, basically, that it's your pace, your itinerary. It's perfect for families that want the narrative. They don't want to drive themselves, but they don't want to be with anybody else. So it does work well for families. And I kind of show you 2 vehicle types because we can start with as few as 2 people. If 2 people want to be driven around Ireland, bless their hearts, we can do that. But we also have these minivans. And let's say people are traveling, you have a family, grandparents, multi-generational, and the grandkids are 4 or 5. Normally, they would not be welcome on a public tour because of their age. This is perfect. And we can also gear the itinerary to things that maybe the kids would like to do.
Right.
Make sure you stay at a place with a pool, add horseback riding, just things like that. So it's your pace. You choose what you want to do. Maybe you want to visit the town that your ancestors were from.
Correct.
So all these off the beaten path, we can do literature, pub, knitting, cooking classes, horseback riding. We do a lot of movie site locations, medieval banquets that the kids have a great time too. Eat with your hands at a real castle, those kinds of things. And really important here, Janine, and you know this as well, if somebody asks you because they have a special request and you don't see it on our website or within our brochure, don't assume we don't have it. There's not very few things I can even think of, any really, that we have not been able to find for somebody if that was something that they wanted to do. Oyster celebration in Galway, out to the islands. It's just endless.
Yeah.
Another way people can go is they can rent their own car. We book golf packages. We even have some pre-selected golf or private self-drive tours, itineraries for them. But really, this is kind of at their own pace. But you as their agent can have all their accommodations booked. And what happens is you mix and match. You might put them at a hotel one night. Let's do a farm stay, a castle stay, and more importantly, a bed and breakfast. And they don't have to wean the bed and breakfast. We can actually book them at a specific B&B and a specific night.
Yeah. And it's awesome. And with the self-guided tours, one thing that you kind of said earlier on, I just want to reiterate, is that they do drive on the opposite side of the road. So that's something that you need to be willing to embrace. And the other thing is that they're more manuals versus automatics over there. But an automatic is something that we can absolutely look into getting for when we make a specific car reservation. It's just going to cost a little bit more when we do that.
Right. I would say when I was booking my clients and they were renting cars, automatic was almost a given.
Yeah.
And the CDW car insurance, because do you know how many Americans return cars that the mirror
is kind of missing or broke?
The hedges, they drove too close and the mirror's gone. So I'm just saying that it's feasible if they feel comfortable. Myself, right now, I would rather be driven around myself.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, it gets back to when you were talking about escorted versus self-guided. I always say if you're driving, that's totally cool if you're game for that. But whoever's driving is actually missing some of the experience. Because like we talked about, the scenery is a huge part of Ireland. And if you're driving, you should be watching the road. Because in certain places, you don't have a choice. Like when you're on the Dingle Peninsula, there are some places where it's only one lane when you are on a hairpin turn. So you really don't have a choice. You have to pay attention. So just keep that in mind. Like you said, first time around, maybe go on an escorted tour, get a feel for the land, for the place, on what you want to do when you come back. And then the next time around, say like, okay, we're going to drive. Let's do this. Exactly. But then it's its own animal and kind of experience then in itself.
Right, exactly. And I think a great way, whether they're doing the chauffeur or renting a car, I would always suggest to people, fly in and do Dublin first. Do the big city. You don't need the private driver. You don't need your car. Yep. And so that part starts when you're done with the big city. And it's a way to save money and cut down on your costs as well. Right. So what a lot of people will do if they're renting a car is they'll return the car to the airport the night before and maybe stay at an airport
hotel nice and close.
Not have to worry, and then we just do a transfer into the city.
Yeah.
So, another way that people don't realize is Ireland does have a rail system. It's not as extensive as the United Kingdom, but we do work with Irish Rail Tours. It's a company that offers escorted rail tours, but they're not sleeping cars. So you're traveling by rail in the day, still staying at hotels in whatever city the rail goes to. Gotcha. So these are just a variety of things. I'm going to page down through some of these that we can book. If they're either going to see these on one of our escorted tours, or when you're booking their self-drive, you can get tickets and pre-book some of these things for your clients. Not everything, maybe they don't want it that, booked, but we can offer these. So in Dublin, hop on, hop off, of course, Guinness, Whiskey Museum, Epic Museum opened about 3 years ago. It's excellent. You can visit the cathedral. Trinity College is popular. My favorite thing, just walking Grafton Street, as you see here. It's a pedestrian only, no cars. And, when it's not winter, the flowers are in bloom. People are singing in the streets. It's very vibrant. We can book a night of entertainment. And I think everybody should do that once. Right. And I think maybe your second night when you're not jet lagged, go to a proper Irish dinner with great Celtic music. and experience that, one time. So we can
Yeah.
book that. As you
Yeah.
head south towards the coast, southern coast, Kilkenny is a great little medieval town to stop in. Smithwick's, a lot of people don't realize, is the second most popular beer after Guinness. They have a great, great tour that started there about maybe within 3 years as well.
Okay.
And it takes place at the same abbey that the monks started the beer in 1200, I believe.
Oh, very
That's
cool.
great. You'll see the Rock of Cashel as you come through. People get to Waterford. This is a big thing. A lot of people want to visit the factory. We can do that if you want. One thing to point out, if people don't stop in Waterford, you have plenty of opportunities to buy the crystal.
Yeah.
Sometimes that city doesn't work on your itinerary, but to mention we can do it if they're there.
Mm-hmm.
Cove is a town not far from Waterford that has the Heritage Center where the last stop of the Titanic made. It's also where a huge port where many people immigrated to America, Australia, Canada from. So that's really important for people that are into the history. Of course, kissing the Blarney Stone. In Cork, visiting the English markets like we just don't have here. And then you make your way to Killarney, probably my favorite little town in Ireland. And what I like about it is all the pubs. And I always say my presentation, Killarney is known for their pubs, 5 pubs per person. So you will never.
There is plenty of places to go visit. That's for sure.
Gosh. And the best, my memory that's never on the itinerary is you would be sitting there and a farmer, I kid you not, will come in and he'll have the fiddle. Another farmer will come in with a baran, and then a local will have the tin whistle. And before you know it, they're sitting at the corner and they're doing a real session. And that's me, real Ireland. That Killarney area is also known for the jaunting carts that go into the national park. A lot of fun. The Kerry men are very witty and they definitely like to entertain you. Of course, I love recommending to people on their own to go visit Muckro's house. To me, it's the Downton Abbey of Ireland. It's a Victorian mansion, still retains all the original furnishings. The gardens are great. You can buy your beautiful woolen sweaters and scarves and things like that there. When you do a day out to Dingle, visiting the stone beehives, Dingle town, you're right on the coast, so you're going to see this beautiful scenery. This is what you envision, like on the Ring of Kerry as well.
And pictures don't do that justice. And pictures aren't and they're not doing what you're talking about justice either. Because I'm like, oh my God, the Ring of Kerry was so cool, and then it's just like, oh my gosh.
But the pictures do not do it justice. One of my favorite things on the way up to Galway too, we always make a little stop in the little town of Adair. They have a great visitor center. It's a great place to grab a cup of tea, a scone, and you walk out and you see about 5 or 6 of these thatched roof cottages, which is what Adair is known for. And when you get up close and actually look at the craftsmanship on these thatched roofs, and what a great way that the Irish people knew that these thatched roofs would keep the houses warm in the winter and cooled off in the summer. It's just a matter of getting house insurance because if they catch on fire, they're gone.
It's gonna be.
St. John's Castle in Limerick. It's great too to visit. It has a lot of Viking heritage. Irish, people in Ireland don't realize how the Vikings really influenced Ireland. They brought with a lot of their culture and they never left. They assimilated into the culture. So you can see that there. Stopping in the little village of Bunratty, you can tour the castle. This is a castle we can pre-book those medieval banquets for your clients if you want. To me, favorite thing is having a pint at Dirty Nellie's 900-year-old pub. And when you go in, you're going to see all little kind of patches from, Chicago police and Minnesota, this and that. People visit it, they leave little trinkets behind, and it's great to kind of just read the walls when you're there. Of course, the Cliffs of Moher are the most popular cliffs in Ireland, which is always a must. If you have time off of Galway, driving out to Connemara to see Kylemore Abbey, that was ran by the Benedictine nuns. Of course, we can arrange a farm visit for your folks to have scones, tea, shearing of the sheep demonstration. When you get to Galway, I love it. Galway is known as the city of tribes. Again, you've got these pedestrian walkways. Home of the Claddagh Ring. It was created in the village of Claddagh within Galway. Great place to buy your Claddagh. As you head north to Donegal, we can do visits for people that like horticulture and flora and fauna at the Glenview Castle. They have beautiful gardens to tour. We put this on one or two of our tours now. Of course, this is a set of cliffs that is off of the Donegal coast that's not as well known, but these cliffs of Slieve League are highest cliffs, not only in Ireland, but in all of Europe. And it's very untouched. It's not as touristy as the cliffs of Moher. Fabulous when you go out there. And then when you come around north and you head towards Belfast, before you get there, we make a stop in the town of Derry, which during the 60s and 70s, a lot of the troubles did occur here in the north. But I'm happy to say that it's no longer like that. There's not even checkpoints to get in from Northern Ireland to Southern Ireland. It's very easy. There's just small differences, but I'm so happy it's open to public visiting the north, especially tourists visiting the north. Spectacular scenery. You've got this Carrick-a-Reid Bridge, which is fabulous. Bushmills, the oldest whiskey distillery in all of Ireland, is all up north past Belfast. And then my favorite UNESCO heritage site up north is a must. Giant's Causeway. Literally on a clear day, you can see Scotland in the distance. And the people that take you down by trams to where these rocks formations are will tell you the folklore. As you know, Ireland is known for stories and folklore, how the two giants on either side fought, and they had a causeway that joined Scotland and Ireland thousands of years ago. So it's great. Once you get into Belfast, coming around, highlight, of course, is the Titanic Museum. Absolutely beautiful museum. You get to experience how the ship was built. We all know the ill-fated ending, but it's sweat and toil of the people of Belfast. People in the Game of Thrones, we have the highlights of where a lot of those sites were filmed. We can do that and lead your clients up there. A lot of people maybe on a religious retreat will want to visit the St. Patrick, where he's buried in Downpatrick. Trim Castle, used in the film Braveheart, favorite, allegedly haunted castle. So that's fun. And then right before you come into back into Dublin, on the outskirts is Newgrange. And this monolithic tomb, Janine, predates the Egyptian tombs. It's older than the Egyptian tombs. And what happens is, on the winter solstice, a beam of light shines through and lights up the whole chamber, 5 days before the winter solstice and 5 days after. And the mystery is, how did the Celts 5,000 more years ago create snow to watch? It's fabulous. And then, of course, you can see the high crosses at Monaster Bois, which is the Celtic crosses in the high Norman towers. So as far as Ireland, we can do the escorted tours, the private, the self-drive, see and book all these attractions for you. And just to keep in mind, I think pairing it with the UK is great if people have the time. Going over to Scotland, Wales, or the United Kingdom, we can do all these things, whiskey tours, Wales, if they have time. We have some great packages there. And then the best part about Ireland is that you clear customs in Ireland at the Dublin or Shannon airport. So when you arrive O'Hare or arrive, you would probably be out of Minnesota, Minneapolis. You just literally bypass the long line of people trying to get back in. It's a beautiful thing. I hope it never ends. And then just to let you know what the local chief have been doing, the livery chief have been banding together, doing their part,
right?
And keeping they're not keeping social distancing, as you can see.
No, but they got their face mask on. They're one or two. We'll give it to them.
Right, they're at least trying the best they can.
Right.
And then I usually end by saying that we look forward to welcoming you back to Ireland. Truly, I cannot wait till it reopens again. We are going to be seeing what's going to be required, as far as, obviously, people just flying in, visiting family now have to have their COVID checks tested within 72 hours. But I have a feeling moving forward, we will have to have proof of vaccination as well, especially for our tours. So till it happens, hopefully we're going to see this by latter summer this year, definitely into the fall. How we will operate. Right now, it's just, kind of on a quiet sleep as well.
Yeah, we know that things will continue to change. And with that, we'll keep everyone in the loop as to what's going on. And you and everyone at Celtic will do the same thing and be like, hey, we're ready to go. What do we need to do so that we can, when we're ready to go, we can absolutely jump on and check out this wonderful island and country.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get Jet to rebook another group in 23 or something like that too.
Maybe. We talked about Ireland, but I know we're also hot on doing that Scotland option. So I know a lot of our Ireland friends who went with us to Ireland, they're like, Scotland.
And
And
I
I'm
would
like,
Scotland.
yes.
Scotland's fabulous, and we can do customized trips and itineraries for you. A lot of people want to at least hit some of the sites that you've
Mhm.
seen Outlander. I also think there's a new show on TV with the stars of Outlander called Men in Kilts,
I've
and the
seen
30-minute
that.
travel show within Scotland. I've
Yes.
watched, I binged all of them. And Janine, there's one is just on the whiskey of Scotland, the games, the dancing,
Yes.
foods, and I think that's going to impassion people to want to definitely get to Scotland. And so we can do the tattoo. I mean, we can just do an assortment of things. So I think that would be next. And a lot of your people that did go with
Yeah.
pent up travel, we want to get back
Right.
overseas.
We do. We want to, like, we're excited. We're ready to go as soon as we get vaccinated, as soon as we know that, hey, here's are the safe protocols we need to do moving forward. And then we're ready to go. And I'm sure everyone else in the world kind of feels the same way, that they're ready to go too. God, awesome. Diane froze for a quick second. So while she's freezing, I just want to thank you again. But Diane, before my internet kid is unstable. Awesome. Hopefully we don't drop off right now. So we're gonna end. Normally we do a lightning round, but I'm gonna give you the pass on that one because Diane sent me a really cool video to end. So thank you again. If you have any questions on Ireland, Diane, we will reach out to get those questions answered, or if it's on the horizon of your must do, let us know because we'd love to help you plan that. To end, since we're on St. Patty's Day, Diane shared this great video with me. So let me just share that with everyone here. And then Diane, thanks again. And we can't wait to see you again in the future.
Yes, I can't wait to come up to Ashland and meet everybody again at your next show. So hopefully that won't be too long.
Yeah, hopefully not. We're really hoping that sooner versus later. So cool. Give me just a second
Thanks,
here.
everyone.
Thanks, Diane. And as we depart, enjoy this last little video of Ireland. Oh, it's really loud.
No, I can't hear it. So,
Well, I can. So hopefully everyone else can.
all right.
I'll share the link if all else fails. The pictures are gorgeous.
I think Liam Neeson is the speaker.
Yeah, it is him. Awesome. Well, Diane, thanks again. Everyone have a great St. Patty's Day. And we will see you next week for sure. And oh my gosh, it's starting again. I'll say goodbye.